Hey guys, welcome back to our channel. I'm Sasha.
And I'm Valeska, and today we're going to be talking about the trans agenda.
So one of the bigger parts of the trans agenda that's coming up recently is the creation of literature around transgender, but this literature is geared toward children. And we're not talking about children that are 15. We're talking about elementary age kids.
Right. So there's this book that they came out with that's called The Gay BCs. And unlike, all your other ABCs books where it was like A is for apple, it's going A is for acceptance or whatever. I don't remember exactly all the stuff, but I definitely know that D was like for drag. And the fact is, this brings me back to the point where they have the story times with trans people, right? Performances at the schools. And this is like in front of babies. You'll see kids like little tiny babies with their family members and just elementary age kids, whatever. And if you know what drags do, it's never been some wholesome performance. It's like stripper on the stage, dropping it down low, doing all this stuff. It's true.
It's true. That's
and
true.
I've seen video clips of them performing at the schools.
Oh, wow.
And they're like opening their legs, doing very sexual, disgusting things.
I don't know why in my head when you said drag show, I was just thinking like they're going there and just modeling. I don't know why I didn't think that they were doing sexual things.
Yeah, it's never been just modeling for that. It's usually things that are performed in clubs or stuff like that.
Oh, you did say that.
And for adults and very sexual. Nothing there is usually like wholesome. They're wearing those Beyonce
but this is what I'm saying.
one suit, bathing suit things.
Right, the one piece. I guess my thing is, how is that allowed on the school premises? How is that allowed?
Because there used to be something called dress code. A student can't walk up like that. If a regular teacher who was a woman came in dressed like that, she would have been hauled out of the school and lost her job. But now we're saying this is okay, and this is what we're indoctrinating the children with, which might explain why now Gen Z 40% identifies as trans or something else, right?
Yeah.
And yet this used to be a minute population, like number of people in our population, but they want to make it seem normalized while they're indoctrinating people to go along with it. And they're pushing things for like trans kids. And what are the trans kids doing? One kid was dressed in trans and performing in front of grown men doing sexual moves on a stage. How is that okay? How is that not child abuse? And what about protecting the children? Because at this point, for us making them feel comfortable and for acceptance and equality and what's the other stuff?
Coexist. There's a bunch of stuff that
and
they're
if you're
to do.
not, you're transphobic. But what about the fact that we should talk about who's innocent and who we should be protecting?
Right. My whole point is like you can stay over there with your transgender and do your own thing as an adult, but I don't understand why the world is allowing this to happen to children, unless of course the minds of these people were already warped from the jump. And so because of the openness now of this trans thing, we're seeing what really people was thinking in their heart. Like, I'm really thinking this, because if that's allowed in a school, then that means the principal, the assistant principal, the teachers, the staff, like all of them had to allow that to happen. I tell you, this world is like a sin thing. It's really about the heart and the core of man for them to allow that. Really think about that. It has to be the whole school coming into agreement with it.
There's this trans teacher, and I think it's in Canada or whatnot, and they've said that even outside of school, he dresses normal, but then at the school he's wearing like triple D fake breasts, that looks like something from porn, and he's teaching boys like at the school. That seems perverted.
And my thing is, this is a teacher, so we know that he's not in charge of the school. So what is the principal doing? What is the assistant principal doing? What's the administration doing?
Right, because if there was a teacher who had double D's or whatever, and she wore certain provocative clothing, she would not be allowed to go into the school.
She would be definitely reprimanded. And so this is why I'm saying, like, the world is getting to a point where instead of just looking at the person doing the thing, we need to start looking at the environment of that person and how they're allowed to do it. Because I've been watching this channel called Ari Dossett here on YouTube, and this guy says the community has to come into agreement to allow something to happen. You can't just walk up in a school and wear that if it's not allowed or accepted by the people in that community. And I fully stand by and believe that if we were in this church and somebody came up in the church, two men or two women kissing on each other, automatic, I'm already saying something. You're already saying something.
Yeah.
So a pastor's already saying something. And if they don't say nothing, I'm out. I'm walking out. You know what I mean? So then we should start thinking, like, if they're allowing this to happen, especially in that school or whichever school, that means every staff member in that school is in on it and has come into agreement. at some point. And if not, they would leave that job. They would not stay there because they wouldn't be in agreement with that.
Right. And so the key is at the cost of being accommodating and open and welcoming to whatever this person subscribes to, we're going to not care about how the children who are the innocent parties here are affected, because it's like anybody else could have been doing it and it would not be acceptable.
Right.
But they're exempt because they're in the trans community.
Right, exactly.
It makes no sense.
Which, to be quite honest with you, as what you said, it's tomfoolery. It doesn't make any sense. Who made these people more special than the regular 99% rest of the population of Earth? And how did y'all all of a sudden become with all these rights out of nowhere?
Right.
What spirit is behind this? Oh, I know. Lucifer.
Right. And you have to be held to a standard, regardless of whatever you identify as. This is my point. Because there's even now this issue where a whole bunch of prisoners were starting to identify as trans, and one who was a rapist was transferred into a women's prison. And what did he do? Rape 2 of the inmates.
That's it.
And he's trans. So, I mean, shouldn't he be into men or whatever?
Right.
Or I guess he was a gay trans woman. Like, I don't even know how to explain it.
Beasts shall be beasts no matter what. I realize whether or not they identify as what. If you're a beast person in your heart, that's what you're going to be. And that's why you were talking about people need to be held accountable. It's not just about, oh, you're trans, so let you get away with it. Accountability, period. You're an adult, period. So all the things that you're doing is coming from the mental disabled mind that you have. And I'm not talking about disabled people because, you know, I'm not ragging on that. But these people are mentally insane, mentally unwell. And for us to give them a podium, give them a platform, and give them a bly to do whatever it is that their heart desires, it doesn't make any sense. It does not make any sense.
If anyone should be protected, it's the children, right? You know? And the fact is, there's no reason that a person who's an adult needs to be performing in that way.
That's it.
Female, male, trans, whatever, whatever you identify as is inappropriate to be not only dressed with like nothing on, but also doing provocative sexual moves in front of children. That's just not acceptable, because the schools are bad in itself, but I have seen situations where it was like, I don't know where they were, and it's like all ages, and you see grown behind parents with their little tiny babies, and they brought their kids to the show thinking that's okay. There's some disconnect here, because you're supposed to be looking out for your child's best interest. This is what happens when we're left to our own devices.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, the Lord literally said that, you know, because they chose darkness rather than light, he gave them over to their reprobate minds. And I think I see what is going on in the world is that these people are literally being given over to their reprobate minds. I really do believe that these conversations need to be had, and I feel like the more we talk about it, at least our perspective from the side of those who believe in a creator and an order to things, we see that the Lord has really allowed them to be turned over to their beastly minds. Some kids are going to suffer in all of this.
Yeah. And we have to do our parts though as Christians. It's like, for real, oh, those are their children, it doesn't matter. I mean, it's still the future of our world, right?
It's true.
But at the end of the day, it's like, we have to speak up for those who can't speak up for themselves. When you have parents calling places saying, oh, this, that, and the third, it's not enough. They ask what is required for their child to be able to get the surgery. Call back a month later saying their child is exhibiting these signs. And even people who work there, who are even married to trans people or whatnot, are agreeing that it's not okay to do this to children. As an adult, you make your decision, you do whatever you want to choose. But the child who doesn't have a true ability to make that kind of decision should not have to be coerced into these types of things.
But then check this out. Who are the doctors that are doing these things? We actually have to even think about that. The doctors, the nurses, like all of these people, were they all born in the same witchcraft coven and decided that we're going to be a part of this thing in 2023? Like, I don't understand.
It's all in the societal construct. If they don't get along with it, they will be canceled. They will be punished. Their whole career hangs in the balance, because even now, if there's gender dysphoria, the treatment is that they have to get the surgery, right? So if this person even comes to you saying, hey, I'm having same-sex attraction or whatever, and I don't want to have this anymore, therapists can lose their license if they do not go along with what they say it is. Affirm.
So you can't even treat it. You have to just affirm them in their identity.
Even if they're asking you for help.
Wow. The world is dark, guys. The world is dark. I really hope that in this video, we gave you points to ponder. Please don't hesitate to comment down below your opinions. We'd like to hear them.
We would love to hear what you think about this, and even from some parents out there. And if you're not a parent yet and you're thinking future-wise, how do you think this world would look like in a society when we're saying this kind of debauchery is okay?
Yeah, and breakdown, really. What we're seeing right here is the fall of a nation, to be quite honest with you. But anyway, that's another topic for another day.
Yes,
we will
it
see
is.
you guys in the next video.